discussion. The panel discussion is on the topic Indian HPV vaccine, hope or hype. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our moderator, Dr. Satinder Kaur, senior gynecologic oncologist from Gurugram. And with ma'am's permission, I'll also introduce the panelists. Dr. Saurabh Sharma, surgical oncologist from Udaipur. Dr. Subha Pratap Das, surgical oncologist from Udaipur. Dr. Shilpa Goyal, gynecologist from Udaipur. Dr. Rama Singh, gynecologist from Udaipur. Dr. Lata Mehta, gynecologist from Udaipur. I request our panelists to please come on the first row.
Good afternoon, everyone. At the outset, I'd like to thank Dr. Manish and Dr. Parekh for having me here. So we all know, we have all heard in the news about the latest Indian vaccine, that is Sarvavac. And I'm sure the media has created so much hype that everybody knows about it. And we are really hopeful that it will bring some good things to our country. So we all are well aware of the WHO call for elimination of cervical cancer, which was given in 2018 by the WHO director. And they said that by 2030, we have to achieve certain targets if we want to eliminate cervical cancer in the world. So by elimination, they mean they want to bring down the incidence of cervical cancer by less than 4 per 1 lakh of population. And to achieve this target of less than 4 per 1 lakh of population by next century, by 2030, we must be able to achieve few targets, and which include that 90% of our girls less than 15 years of age should be vaccinated, 70% of the females should have undergone at least one phase of screening, and 90% of our population should be able to get a no, it's still not shown. 90% of our population should be able to get a proper treatment modalities. So we all are aiming for the same target, but definitely because of our country, because of lack of few things, we have not been, we feel that this target seems a little difficult. The reason being, so if we see the current scenario in our country, the screening is hardly 3% of the population is covered by screening. So in spite of the this program being included in National Cancer Cervical Control Program, National Cancer Control Program, we have not been able to achieve cervical cancer screening in our country, which is hardly 3% at current scenario. And if we see about the HPV vaccination, the vaccination was introduced in 2008. But again, in 2009, the vaccination project was started in Andhra Pradesh and Gujarat. But again, because of the media hype, it was all created that there was few deaths which were related to the vaccine, and the vaccine was put on a halt. We all thought that that was later on. It was found that these deaths were not related to vaccine, but it brought down the vaccination incidence in our country to much lower. And as of now, IAP says gives the vaccine to those who can afford, and it is more of opportunistic vaccine. Few of the doctors who feel that they should be given, the patient should be given vaccine, they are offering, others are not offering. But again, the major cost reason is the financial barrier. The primary obstacle to HPV vaccination in our country is finances, and that is why when this Sarvavac was recently introduced, we thought it would be a ray of hope for our country, because what they have said is they might bring on the cost of the vaccine, they will bring down to 200 rupees, which is at present for Gardasil 4, it is around 3,000, the quadrivalent vaccine, which will be the same. The 9-valent vaccine, Gardasil 9, which is available, costs around 11,000. Anyway, Servavac is also a quadrivalent vaccine, so the cost, if we correspond, is around 1/10 to that of the current existing vaccine. So I'd like to ask my panelists, do you really think will the low-cost Servavac act as a boon for our country? Ma'am, you can start, please. Okay.
Hello. Hello. Yeah, of course, because it's going to prevent. Suppose it is included under the national immunization program by the government. At the 10 years of age, we give first booster of T toxoid. It can be included along with that for all the girl child. Because for a male child, we say the age is around 13 to 15 years. So definitely it's going to decrease the incidence. So of course, the morbidity and the mortality because of cervical cancer. So it's a very, very good hopeful thing. Because of its cost, we can pressurize the government through so many means. It should be included under the national immunization program. That is the only way we can convince the patient. Otherwise, if anybody comes to our OPD, one mother with an adolescent girl, we say we are giving a vaccine because it's going to prevent carcinoma cervix in her future. She won't. It's just not the cost of the vaccine, it's the patient, mother, they are not convinced at all.
So very true. Indians are a stubborn breed, and we actually have to force them everything. And this vaccine also has to be forced upon them, and that is the only way we can actually force this vaccine. So because of the low cost, the government can now include it in national immunization schedule, because earlier, so health is the least priority in our country. And this is the reason this vaccine has not been included in the national immunization schedule till date, because it has always been postponed because of the cost related issues. And maybe with this low cost, the government might include this in national immunization schedule. And if we force everybody that yes, it has to be taken, then only the people are going to take. But my question to the next panelist is, do you think this is the only barrier? Is cost the only barrier in a country? If we include in national immunization schedule, even if we force upon them, or it is a low-cost vaccine not included in national immunization schedule, that may take time. But yes, the vaccine is available only for 200 rupees. Still, the people will take it just because the cost has come down, or there are other barriers in our country which will lead to non-acceptance of this vaccine.
I think one of the major hurdle is education. People are not aware of what cervical cancer is, what are the screening methods available, and is it preventable, is the vaccine available? Because I have come across many patients who were affordable, but they were not educated enough to get the vaccine, or they were not aware enough. So education is important, very important. Education, screening and vaccination, 3 are the important tools to combat.
So if I talk about the educated class, please.
What we have seen, ma'am, the carcinoma cervix, the incidence is more in the poor people and in the tribal population, where the hygiene is not practiced, early age at marriages, and these are the high risk people, right, ma'am? So ma'am, to sensitize these people, it is all the more difficult, because for educated people, they go for screening, everything is there. But when it comes to the poor people and the tribal people, ma'am, we have to meet those ends, ma'am, because we have to target that population, and we have to more and more NGOs have to be
so
taken
I
into the
agree
confidence,
with you.
ma'am.
I agree with you. But my question is, since the cost has come down, we are bringing it in the national immunization schedule. Now, cost is not at all an issue, and we have educated. They are aware about the vaccine. Suppose I'm talking about a set of people who are aware about the vaccine. They know that this will prevent cervical cancer. But still, are there any other hurdles which people would like to?
I think one major hurdle is how the government, there was a parliamentary committee set up in 2013 which looked at the 7 deaths that happened during the trial, and they came down very heavily on ICMR, going to the extent of telling them that they should be given the strictest punishment, and this was gross negligence. The 7 girls who died among the 23,000 participants in the vaccine trial, 1 died of snake bite, 1 drowned, 2 committed suicide. And that was it. And I think that attitude of our politicians and our policy makers jumping the gun, that is a major hurdle, because it creates a negative mindset. Other thing that I'm thinking is that probably if it is given to both boys as well as girls, the social acceptance of the vaccine will be higher. That stigma thing would be lessened?
So probably why the gynecologists do not recommend it to boys and why it has not been recommended as of now is the reason is if we start recommending it to boys, the girls are going to be left behind. If in a family there is one boy and 3 girls, they'll vaccinate the boy and they'll not vaccinate the girls. So the first target is the girls because the cervical cancer is much more common in female as compared to HPV induced cancer in males. The boys need to be vaccinated to create a uniformity, definitely to create a herd immunity, which is the next step, but first target has to be girls, and probably that is what the government is aiming at with this vaccine coming up. But the question is more, which you said earlier, is the answer which I was needing is the fear about the adverse events of the vaccine because of the hype which was created earlier because of these deaths. And now the people are so worried about the adverse events, and many of our population, even the people who can afford anything, they would just say what will be the side effects. And then there have been certain reports about premature ovarian failure, the menstrual disturbances, infertility, impotence in males. These are the questions which people ask us when we counsel them about vaccination. Will it not lead to infertility in girls, and will it not lead to impotency in the males? And these are all baseless things. There is no reason behind that. But yes, and if you see it, not only in India, this is an Italian study where finance was not at all an issue, and it was included in national immunization schedule, and they saw the most common reason for non-acceptance of the vaccine was fear of adverse events. They were also all worried whether there will be so many side effects. So this thing has to be, as you said, there has to be strict punishment for people who give this false news. The data has to be clear cut, it has to be available, and definitely these misconceptions have to be brought down. And see, these were so it's all about when these new vaccines came, the Gardasil came, it is not just in India, there were so many misconceptions from all over. And in fact, Japan suspended its vaccination program in 2013 because of this misconception. So how to overcome these barriers is my question. How to convince the people that yes, this vaccine is safe and it can be taken.
Likewise, what happened to COVID vaccines also. So we have to generate the data, and we have to educate the population that this is the thing. Adverse events are very low, and risk benefit ratio is very much high.
So I think it has to be made compulsory like the COVID vaccine. I think if the COVID vaccine was not made compulsory, half of the doctors would have also not taken it. So this vaccine also needs to be made compulsory.
We have Rajshri and these Yojnas. We can tell ki if you vaccinate your girl child, only then you will get the other check. Then they are going to vaccinate.
Very true, very true. These are very good suggestions, yes.
One important thing that we have as clinicians have failed to convey to the public in general is how bad a disease CA cervix is. If that is two phase, one is the fear of adverse effects, but they do not know how exactly bad CA cervix as a disease, how debilitating for the woman it is, how humiliating it is for the woman. In that part, we clinicians can educate the public regarding that, as well as when the launch of this vaccine came out, I think Manisha Koirala gave her, she was there, and we need to have more public figures in the fray telling about it. That would
that's an oncologist speaking. I think we need to educate the doctors first, because it's the patients go to the doctors, and doctors are reluctant in prescribing in this vaccine. That is the main hesitancy which is coming. So as oncologists, you see these patients, you see how bad they are doing, and you really want to promote this vaccination. But as even the common public, when the patients are going to go, the people, general public is going to go to their physician, general physician, MBBS doctors, before they reach the gynecologist or pediatrician also. So these are the people who need to be educated, yes, that how bad this disease is, and you must promote this vaccine.
I would like to add something.
Yes.
It should be included in the school education program.
Very true.
Because kids going to the school, whether they are in village, whether they are a town or a city, I think that is the best part. The child herself is convinced.
Very true. So, yes.
We had with two NGOs, we had this NGO-driven vaccination for the those who are participating in our conference. So we did just a year and a half back, we had nearly 100 participants on webinar, those who were willing for vaccination for their girl child. So out of 100, we had like 50, 60 parents were counseled, and we completed their complete course. So such two activities we have done in last 1.5 years. So that is what I am saying, ki education, as
Yes,
Dr. Das
education
mentioned,
is very important,
education
and in this respect the cost is going to help.
and with
See,
that,
Punjab started this program, Sikkim started this program, and Punjab again they vaccinated few girls, but next time they did not have the money, they stopped it. So I think Sikkim is the only state which is continuing. Tamil Nadu also started the program, but again because of the cost, everything has come to a halt. And maybe with this cost coming down and more NGOs getting involved and educating the people, because with this low cost, and there are many donors in our country. They'll be very happy. There are so many philanthropists who will actually help giving this $200 for vaccinating the girl child. But the next question is what the data on efficacy and safety of Cervavac. As of now, we do not have any data, but I'm sure since the data has been presented to DCGI and NTIG, the reports have, data has not yet been published. I tried to search a lot. If anybody has any information, most welcome, but whatever I could get was from the media bites. Nothing else. Yes.
No, it's like 100% immunity was there, and there were no side effects in the trial of 3,000 girls who has been given this vaccine.
But the
recently they have
but the
published.
trial started only in 2019.
Yeah.
So we just have a 2 years data.
Yeah, but 3,000.
Yeah, 3,000.
Number was good.
And what they said was that immunogenicity was around 1,000 times higher. We really don't know. But yes, the long-term side effects still need to be published, and we'll come to know about them little later as the data comes on, and whether we need any booster or not. So bringing down a cost of a vaccine from 3,000 to 200 to 300 rupees is actually what is causing confusion in minds of few people. How are they going to do it? So will the vaccine be as efficacious as it is? So definitely the COVID vaccine cost was very low, but we all know no data has been published, but you all must have seen there have been a lot of cases of MI, stroke, post-vaccination. So what is going to be the side effects of this vaccination? This is a question mark, which definitely we'll come to know as the later. But with these questions in mind, how comfortable are you in recommending this vaccine routinely if cost is not a concern? So 200 is not a concern. So how comfortable you will be with this data of 3,000 girls and of 2 years data, that how comfortable are you in recommending Indian vaccine to all your patients?
To all 50 million girls from 9 to 13 years of age.
Okay, very good.
And you know, in past so many girls have been vaccinated. We can gather the data.
But that is all with Gardasil and Cervarix, ma'am. We don't have data on Cervavac.
Fine, the vaccine is same. Same viral particle has been used.
Who knows that?
Yeah, that is a different.
The data has to come up.
But
for
the
that.
composition is same. It's a quadrivalent vaccine.
Yeah.
Ma'am, the Serum Institute is a respectable world leader in vaccine production. As well as there are a few NGOs like Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which is associated with this.
Yeah. True.
So they are quite reputed NGOs. So I'm not doubting that. What I would like from clinicians is to start from their home. If you have your own girl child at home, I would definitely.
So that is what my question is. If the cost is not a concern, if it is your own child, you can afford Gardasil 9 or Gardasil 4, and you can afford Cervavac definitely. So what will be your option? Will you opt for Gardasil or will you opt for Cervavac? I'm talking about tomorrow, not about 5 years later when we'll have more data. I'm talking about tomorrow. What will you opt for? Gardasil. Next, please. So charity begins at home. You have to start from your home. What is your take on, you can afford everything. So what will you take? I have vaccinated my son with Gardasil 9. So I am not thinking about, even if the Cervavac is available, probably as of now, I'll not suggest. So
we have good data about Gardasil 9.
Right.
So it is more effective. Obviously, if affordability is not issue, will however, if data comes.
So that means tomorrow you are going to be it is going to be selective. If the patient is affording, you'll still recommend Gardasil, and if patient is not affording, you'll recommend Savavec.
True.
No, I will trust Sarvavik fully.
Fully. Great. Okay. So we said yes. Do you think it should be included in national immunization schedule immediately, or we must wait for more data to come up? Ma'am, please.
I think it should be included immediately because yes,
Again, with an option or without an option?
initially yes, with an option.
Initially with an option, and
Yes.
so we need some more data.
Yes.
So what even I feel is that we should not go by just the media hype, because they can mold us in any direction. As of now, they are just focusing on the cost, and they are saying 200 rupees, give it to everyone. But this media, the same media, may come out later with 6 months after the introduction of this vaccine and say, oh, see, this was a 200 rupees vaccine, but it led to these side effects. So we have to be clear in our minds first that what we are going to tell the patients. Because then when this media hype comes, the patients you have vaccinated in these 6 months are going to come back to you and ask you, so why did you prescribe me Servavac, which was 200? I could have afforded Gardasil, which was 3,000, when you did not know about the side effects. Because so we have to think by our own minds, and rather than.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You see, Bhutan, Maldives, they have their own immunization program. In the universal immunization program, they have included anti-HPV vaccines. What vaccine are they using?
Gardasil. So as of now, the only available vaccines were Gardasil and Cervarix. Cervarix also they have withdrawn from the market with Gardasil 4 come up, because Cervarix, the things, their sale came down drastically and they had to withdraw it. So till date, in fact, India could not get the doses of Gardasil 9 till last year. This year only Gardasil 9 came to India. This was because China bought all the doses of Gardasil 9 which were manufactured when they included it in national immunization schedule. So till date, India was not able to get Gardasil 9 as a country only, because all the countries are using Gardasil in their national immunization schedule. But because of the cost issues, it was not included in our immunization. So again, would you recommend to all boys and girls, or to begin with, you want it to be included in national immunization schedule only for girls and later on move to boys? Ma'am, I would like you to answer, because you are the one who is saying that yes, we need it in national immunization
No, I
schedule.
would recommend to all boys and girls.
Yes. So
See?
if we are including in national immunization schedule, it should be recommended
So
for
it
both.
won't be an apprehension for the parents.
Yes, definitely. So 200 rupees is not an issue. If it is in national immunization schedule, it should be for both. It should not be for, and anyways, this is a gender neutral vaccine. So definitely it can be given to both and should be. And my next question is, will it negatively impact the screening programs? I often get patients who say, I am vaccinated, why do I need a cervical cancer screening? When I am already vaccinated, what is the point of getting that vaccination if you still have to do my pap smears?
Because then we'll try to convince them the effect of vaccine is not 100%. You are
So,
not
but
protected.
as of now, without the vaccine, with everything, we have been able to actually cover only 3% of Indian population. So will that vaccine further bring down the screening? We all know vaccination alone cannot do anything. Screening has to be the priority. So as oncologists, we are very infamous among gynecologists and the vaccine people, because of the information which was given by Tata Memorial 10 years ago, that yes, we should do only screening is more important than vaccination. So they feel that we do not recommend the vaccinations, but it is not. We say that screening has to be in hand with vaccination.
Still, whatever we are saying, screening is very less in number.
Yes. So that is what I'm saying. With vaccination, that
so,
false sense of security, will the screening come down further?
As it is,
It is in
Those who are willing to get it screened by now, they'll be continuing it. और जो नहीं समझ पा रहे हैं कि this is important, उनके लिए ठीक है vaccinate.
So what should we do about it?
maybe we might have the opposite effect, because once everyone is vaccinated, the awareness among the general population regarding the disease might increase, and in fact, what 3% is not going to come down. 3% is the rock bottom. So maybe with the vaccination drive, more people will be more aware, and maybe screening numbers will increase as well.
So I think when we are promoting the vaccine, we have to promote this thing that screening has to go hand in hand. It should not come down, because we might be vaccinating all the girls below 15 years, and we have to tell them that this vaccine is against 4 viruses, and out of which only 2 are cancer causing, and they are going to bring down the incidence by 70%. You still have the chances of that 30% vaccine. So that has to be, as you said, ma'am, that it has to be included from the school level. So, but when you vaccinate, you have to ingrain that thing in their minds that yes, screening has to go hand in hand. You cannot avoid screening by getting vaccination.
Oh, I will ask that adolescent girl, please ask your mother to come for a screening. Because by the time you reach to that age, you will also be requiring screening, although you received the vaccine.
So there are a lot of concerns about school education about these things also, because we have been doing a lot of programs regarding that, and the parents which they created fuss about was when you tell a girl about cervical cancer and you need to get vaccinated for that. So whenever, even if they have a menarche, they start feeling that yes, I am bleeding. So, and it's because of the cervical cancer. So a proper knowledge, a proper education, this thing has to be inbuilt in our books. The sex education has to come from the core bottom. And in fact, that was my next question. With already a lack of sex education in our country, don't you think this vaccination will give a false sense of security and lead to increase in sexual permissiveness? People will think that now we are not going to get cancer. We have been vaccinated. So will the incidence of STDs increase? Any comment on that?
I don't think so, ma'am. That's a false premise, because as it is, I think because getting EAKs does not prevent against other STDs, and secondly, I don't think it is a valid.
So this was the same concern in all the Western countries also, when they introduced Gardasil, that it is going to, and they initially did see an increase, but then they because in those countries sex education begins from the school level, so they did not see actually that it increased. But in our countries, the sex education is zero. Even parents are not open to talk to their kids about sex education, what to talk about the schools and the teachers. So what that I thought it might happen. So definitely
we are dealing with 75,000 women dying every year.
So that's what we need to include it. But yes, we have to wait for, what I feel is we need to wait for data before the media hype, and there has to be a balanced approach by the government as well as the doctors, because the information will be given by the doctors. The government is only going to make it compulsory and give that vaccination. So, but these PHC workers, the level at which the vaccination is given, how many of people come to us for vaccination? If we include it in national immunization schedule, what percentage of people you are going to expect to come to you? To oncologist, I don't think not even 1%. For general gynecologist and pediatrician, again hardly 1 or 2%. The education has to be at the level of PHCs, all these ANMs and these people, the people who give vaccination need to be educated. So the education till the vaccine is launched has to be amongst these people, and they have to be given a correct information. That's my take on it. And vaccination should not be at the cost of screening. Education and accurate information about the vaccine has to be provided. I'd like to ask each of the panelists to give one comment, a take-home message for the audience on the vaccination, their take on it. Ma'am, to begin with.
Hope.
Hope.
He comment, but on ethical question that you had stumped us with, are you going to recommend Gardasil or not? Coming on that, I think if this is introduced in the universal immunization program, then Gardasil should be withdrawn from the market in India. It removes all ethical problems.
Without sufficient data on Servavac, I don't think.
Ethically, what
so
is
Indians
good for
who
me
can
must be
afford,
good for
they'll
good.
go to US and get the vaccine. When they could go for the COVID vaccine and take it in US for the Moderna. So those, so I don't think that's an option.
What is good for me must be good for the villager as well.
So that's what I said. We have to be convinced first ourselves that Gardasil and Servavac are equal. So, and for that, I feel we need some more data. So, ma'am,
See, if the data says that it is as effective as Gardasil, then definitely it is going to change the scenario of this problem in our country.
Yeah.
So it's good if it will be included in national programs. That more data that is
Yeah, true. Thank you.
We can wait for, we can give a choice for Gardasil and Silverware, and then with the data coming over the years, we can slowly and gradually
Withdraw the Gardasil and make it included for everyone. So that's what I feel we should include it in national immunization schedule. Those who can afford afford Gardasil and they want to opt for Gardasil, they can go for Gardasil. Others can go for Cervarix. But like for all other vaccines, we have the government brands and we have the private the other options available. So same should be there for this vaccine. And since we have more data, we can then actually withdraw Gardasil from the market and do this. So our all aim is no woman should die of a preventable disease, and elimination of cervical cancer is within our grasp if we unite behind this common goal and deliver vaccination, screening and treatment. Thank you so much.